Good morning, everybody. Matt Moda here to give you my favorite MLB home run predictions for today. We are talking Friday, June 20th. Happy Friday, everybody. The Dong Report is back in your life, and I'm doing things a little bit differently today. I just really liked the home run board for today, so instead of just giving you my 3 to 4 favorite, I'm doing what I did a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to go ahead and spray the board. Now, I'm playing these light, like literally 0.1 units each, but I'm spraying the board with 10 home run picks for you guys to lock in. I basically decided to target the best games in terms of weather and the best games in terms of pitching matchup, and then went with the best batters from there. So that's kind of how I went about today's Dong Report. We're going to talk about all that. Before we do, we got to do a recap from yesterday, which was not good. Juan Soto, Brent Rooker, Cam Smith, none of them hit a home run. 0 for 3 yesterday. I don't really think any of them came even really that close. Cam Smith had a hard hit line out, but launch angle was too low. Just a tough one. Down 0.75 units on the day yesterday. That now brings our total results on the season. We're down about 6.75 units on the entire year on the Dong Report. ROI minus 8%. It's been tough. Home runs have been down, but I'm very confident that we're going to turn things around. And, switching up the strategy a little bit. Last time I tried to spray the board, it didn't quite go well, but I am very confident in the home run slate for today. Again, just a ton of juicy weather games that I kind of just wanted to spray the board. And we can talk about it. So there are 6 games highlighted as green, according to Ballpark Pal. The game at Coors Field, the game at Wrigley, Steinbrenner Field, Sutter Health Park, Citizens Bank Park, and Yankee Stadium. Now, there is mostly agreement, according to Weather Edge as well, with the biggest one here being the Cubs game, which makes sense, right? Wrigley Field incredibly impacted by the wind, 16-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. So from a weather perspective, 57% home run above expectation in Coors Field. And there's somewhat agreement at, according to Ballpark Pal, they have it from a weather perspective, plus 35. So they both have it the best day strictly from a weather perspective at Wrigley Field. And then you go from there. Coors Field, plus 22% according to Ballpark Pal. 17 Stadium, weather, they have it at 5%. Another really good weather game according to Weather Edge as well, plus 28.5% from a weather perspective. So that's really good. And then the other 2 isn't on Weather Edge because there's not enough data, but Steinbrenner Field, phenomenal from a weather perspective. I mean, you just look at it. It's windy. Slightly windy. I'm not going to say windy, but it's hot in the 80s. And the Steinbrenner Field has a very short right field porch, which we talk about all year. We've talked about all year. And then Sutter Health Park is windy. It's receptive to wind, very high, 16-mile-an-hour winds. And it's also hot at Sutter Health Park as well. And then the Bank and Yankee Stadium are also good. So this is all to say, ton of good weather games from a home run perspective for today. And that's kind of how I went about spraying the board, was looking at these juicy games and then targeting batters from there. So I'll do a recap at the end. So for those of you that can't always keep along, I'll do a recap at the very end. But my first play here is going to be Cal Raleigh. We are taking him to hit a home run. This game at Coors Field with the wind helping carry, you want to look for guys that put the ball in the air. And Cal Raleigh is obviously one of the best home run hitters in the entire MLB. And the reason why he's so good is because he's able to put the ball in the air and he's able to pull it. You look at him, I mean, he's just having a phenomenal season, but that average launch angle of 23 degrees is phenomenal, just amazing. Almost a 20% barrel rate. It's really, really good as well. And you look at recently, it's kind of funny. He hasn't barreled up a baseball in 11 days. But look at his hard hits, 2, 2, and then, okay, a couple games, 0, 0, 1. But then 2, 2, 3, 2. So he's hitting the ball well recently. And then, of course, Fangraphs is going to take forever to load. But his fly ball rate, 54%. His pull rate, 55%. Like at Wrigley Field with the wind the way it is, you just want a guy that can hit the ball in the air. Cal Raleigh can. And then Matthew Boyd, the pitcher for the Cubs, is a lefty. Raleigh hits both lefties and righties hard. I don't really care which one's which. Historically, he's much better against lefties, but this year, he's been amazing against both. So that part really doesn't matter. And then Matthew Boyd, he's a decent pitcher, but again, that launch angle at 18.9 degrees is pretty high. The fly ball rate, 45%, is pretty high. And then you look at him recently, like his last, 7 starts, 14% barrel rate, 14%. And then a good start, 5, 5, 8's below average, and then 15, and then 20. He's not a terrible home run pitcher. Admittedly, you look at his stats, his home run per 9 is 1, which is really not that bad. That's actually slightly above average, but I think 3 of them have been hit. All of them, all of them have been hit by righties. 9 home runs allowed to right-handed hitters. So the home run per 9 against righties, a slightly worse 1.27, and then the fly ball rate goes up 10% when he's facing a right-handed hitter, which Cal is. So that's our first play, Cal Raleigh to hit a home run. He is best offered at plus 230 odds at FanDuel. That is my first play, is Cal. Next up, I'm going with 3 guys on the Cubs. So I'm going with Kyle Tucker to hit a home run. I'm going with Pete Crow Armstrong to hit a home run, and I'm going with Michael Busch. I'm taking all 3 of them to hit a home run. Now, the price on them are a little bit stinky, admittedly. Tucker is best offered $290 at FanDuel. Pete Crow Armstrong is best offered $375 at Bet365, and Michael Busch is plus 400 at Bet365. So a little bit stinky odds here. We're paying for the weather for sure. But the biggest thing here is the pitcher for the Mariners, George Kirby. He's only made a couple starts this year. He came back, it looks like, he came back at the end of May, right? May 22nd. He's made 5-6 starts. He's been really hit hard by left-handed hitters, right? Home run every 15.75 at-bats is terrible. All these numbers, red. Barrel rate, 9%. Hard hit rate, 45%. Line drive rate, 30%. The fly ball rate is kind of low, but the line drive rate is high. And he's really, really struggled against lefties. I mean, you look at another source here, Plate IQ. You look at him, it kind of shows a similar story. Barrel rate, 12.2% on the year to lefties. So a little bit, the barrel rate is always going to have a little bit of a different calculation because some sites just calculate it differently. As long as there is general agreement, I'm okay with that. And ISO rate, we see that it's red against lefties, 238. The strikeout rate, he strikes out a lot of righties, not as many lefties. And the fly ball rate, the ground ball rate is a little bit higher than what you would look for, 46%, but that line drive rate is pretty high. And then you look at these guys on the Cubs. So I'm looking at the Cubs, I'm looking at the last 14 days. Now, Suzuki and Swanson are both righties. If you wanted to take a righty, I wouldn't blame you. You could do that. I just think that I wanted to target specifically the 3 lefties. And then you see like 5 barrels each over the last 2 weeks with a decent barrel rate, for all of them. 5 for PCA, 5 for Michael Busch, 5 for Kyle Tucker. Now the hard hits favor PCA in terms of the lefties, but the barrel rate isn't quite as high. Granted, it's because he doesn't strike out as much. And then you look at the biggest thing, PCA and Tucker. It's actually honestly in Busch as well. Look at that launch angle. That's what you're looking for. Guys hitting the ball in the air. Fly ball rate, 60% for Kyle Tucker. Almost 50% for Michael Busch. 53% of the time for PCA. 19-degree launch angle on average, 22, 20. Guys hitting the ball hard and putting the ball in the air, barreling the ball up. That's all you can ask for in a game like this when you look at how much the wind should impact the trajectory of the baseball. So let's hope these 3 Cubbies guys come through. Kyle Tucker, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Michael Busch. Now we're heading to Tampa Bay, and I got 2 guys on the Rays. Brandon Lau to hit a home run and Jonathan Aranda to hit a home run. Now, at the end, I'll tell you my 3 favorite. Like, if you're just like, hey, man, I'm not taking 10 guys, I understand that. One of my 3 favorite is Brandon Lau. Brandon Lau. Now, for whatever reason, Bet365's odds aren't pulling. He's all the way up at 475 at Bet365. Just compare that to the rest of the sports books. Like, that is a phenomenal price for Brandon Lau. That is the price that I was able to lock in. So that's a really good, just from a line chopping perspective. And then Aranda at 480, I really like as well. Now, I mentioned the right field porch at Steinbrenner Field. It's hot, slight winds are blowing out, but it's more so the temperature. And then it's this short right field porch. So guys that can pull the ball, like Brandon Lau, like Jonathan Aranda, lefty hitters, that's who you want to target. Now, the pitcher, Jack Flaherty, he has decent stuff. He also gets hit really hard by left-handed hitters, and it's his four-seam fastball specifically. He throws it 42% of the time. 6 of his 8 home runs allowed to lefties have been hit off of his four-seamer. Home run every 15 at-bats. Some of his ancillary numbers aren't as bad. Barrel rate of 7% isn't terrible. Hard hit rate of 44% isn't terrible. The combined line drive plus fly ball rate isn't terrible. But in a game like this, with the stadium like this, It's not great for left-handed hitters. And then you want to look at guys on the Rays. Brandon Lau has been phenomenal. 7 home runs against righties over the last month. But you look at against the four-seam fastball specifically, guess who has the 2 of the best numbers on the Rays, both in terms of hard hit rate and barrel rate? Jonathan Aranda is number 1. Brandon Lau is number 2. Now, Lau has a fly ball rate of almost 60%. That is why he is so good at hitting. That's why he has like the home run and Aranda doesn't, because that fly ball rate is so high. Now, they both strike out a decent amount against the four-seamer. So they could both strike out twice against Flaherty. They could also both take him yard. And then the Brandon Lau hard hit rate, 83%, is just incredible. Aranda has a better hard hit, or has a better barrel rate, but the hard hit rate is lower and the flat ball rate is lower, which is why between the two, I prefer Lau. But you look at like their last 2 weeks and how they're hitting the baseball, it's really good for both of them. I mean, Yandy Diaz in this last 14 days is phenomenal, but 20 hard hits for Aranda, that's good. 19 for Brandon Lau, that's good. 5 barrels for Lau is good. 4 for Aranda. We see Lau leads the Rays, and then Aranda is one of a couple batters with 4. But spraying the board with both of them, I think, makes a ton of sense. Brandon Lau, Jonathan Aranda, both of them to hit home runs. Next up, we got a couple guys on the Rockies. Hunter Goodman to hit a home run, Jordan Beck to hit a home run, and Brenton Doyle to hit a home run. Now, the odds are kind of stinky on Goodman. You look at the odds, it's plus 300 for him to hit a home run, but then Beck is up at 480, which is good, and then Doyle is 560, which is good. And then, again, I'm going to give out my 3 favorite. My second of the 3 favorite is actually Brenton Doyle. When you look at how he's been hitting the ball recently, you look at the odds at plus 560, you look at the matchup, I think it makes a lot of sense for Brenton Doyle. I mean, 560 for him at Coors in a good weather game for Coors is kind of silly. It's a good, again, you looked at it, 28% home run differential according to Weather Edge, and it was 22% according to Ballpark Pal. And the reason why it's hot, it's in the 90s, and that barometric pressure is low, which is going to help with carry, especially with this temperature. I mean, it's going to be a brutally hot day in Colorado. And the Rockies have a ton of guys that are red hot at the plate. Now, the reason why I chose the 3 that I did, but just to kind of show you, Goodman, 6 barrels last 14 days, really good. Doyle, 3, and then Beck also has 3. 15 hard hits, 20 for Doyle. Doyle leads the team in hard hits. He just hasn't been able to barrel it up. Goodman's right behind him, and then Beck is a little bit behind them, but Beck has been very good recently. Like yesterday, he hit one 400 feet. So that's kind of how I'm going about this. And then the pitcher, Zach Gallen, he has the name brand. He was once a really good pitcher. He has not been good this year, and he hasn't been good against both righties and lefties, but he really struggles against righties. 9 home runs allowed to righties to only 6 against lefties. In about the same number of at-bats. Home run every 18 at-bats to righties, every 20, about 27 and a half, 28 at-bats to lefties. So if you wanted to take a lefty against him, I wouldn't blame you. McMahon is hitting the ball hard. But all his numbers across the board are worse against righties. Barrel rate, higher. Hard hit rate, higher. Line drive plus fly ball rate, 50%. And then you go to plate IQ. Let's just confirm that the information is similar. Same thing, barrel rate, 11.4% against righties over the last 30 days, 12.9% on the season. Both of those numbers are worse against right-handed hitters. The hard hit rate is higher against righties. The fly ball rate is about the same, and the ground ball rate is about the same as well. So it's really just the solid contact that is being allowed to right-handed hitters. And we get these 3 guys that are hitting the ball well, and we get them at Coors Field, which should help for carry. So I really like all 3 of them to hit a home run, especially Doyle. I mean, the way he's hitting the baseball, the fact that he hasn't hit a home run in this stretch is just brutal luck for him, because even yesterday he had, I think, between him and Beck, one of them had a 400 flyout and the other one had like a 390 double. So they both are hitting the baseball hard. They both have a great matchup, and they both have great weather. So the Rockies guys, I really, really like. That is our the 3 plays for that. And then the last one, Nick Curts. Now, I have been incredibly unlucky. I'm not going to call it unlucky, because that makes it just seem like, oh, it's just bad luck. I have not been able to get this guy on the right night. He has hit a home run in 4 out of his last 5 games. Guess which game was the only one I took him to hit a home run. It was the one that he did not. Now, these last 2 games, left-handed starting pitcher, I didn't want to take him. Guess what? He went off the bullpen both times. But you can make the argument that he's the hottest batter at the plate. The guy is just on fire. You look at him, last 14 days, 23. I mean, Rooker with 23 hard hits and 9 barrels is crazy. But Curts, 14 hard hits, 5 barrels. But a lot of that has come in the last week. So you look at the last 7 days, and he leads the team in hard hits with 4 barrels in the last 7 days. That is very, very, very impressive. He's either hitting fly balls or he's hitting ground balls. That's fine, because if you can hit the ball in the air, that's all we're asking for. The Suter Health Park has been one of the best home run venues all year. I see no reason why that shouldn't continue to be the case tonight. It's very receptive to wind, and there are heavy winds, 16-mile-an-hour winds blowing out of the stadium. So Curts, one of the hottest batters in baseball, and then he's got another good pitching matchup. Tanner Bybee is pitching for the Guardians. Bybee's one of those guys. He's not a great pitcher against both righties or lefties, but he's worse against lefties. A home run every 18 at-bats to lefties, every about 26 at-bats to righties. He's allowed 8 home runs and he's allowed more home runs and fewer at-bats to left-handed hitters. So Curts, I mean, by far hitting the best on the Athletics. So you could go like Butler, who just hit one yesterday, got a couple barrels. Soderbaum hasn't been able to hit anything recently, but he is a lefty and he has shown the ability to hit the baseball hard sometime this year. To me, Curts made the most sense, and he's the third of my 3 favorite plays for today. So the 3 favorite were Lau, Brenton, Doyle, and Nick Curts. And another thing with Bybee, he's much worse away than he is at home, which is terrible for this matchup when he's going up in one of the best home run venues in baseball. So that is my 10th and final pick of the video. I didn't go as deep into the analysis because when you have a bunch of guys, you don't have the ability to do that. And I kind of wanted to dumb it down a little bit and just be like, hey, pitching matchup, good. Weather, good. Batter, hitting the baseball hard. Seems good to me. So 10 guys to hit a home run. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Putting 1 unit on each of them, so we're risking 1 unit total. So in terms of units risked, it's in line with what I've been doing. But we're going with Cal Raleigh, Kyle Tucker, Michael Busch, Pete Crow Armstrong, Brandon Lau, Jonathan Aranda, Hunter Goodman, Jordan Beck, Brenton Doyle, and my boy Nick Curts. And I think I forgot to give you the price. He's plus 480 at FanDuel. These are all sent out first to my Tails account, so if you don't want to watch the YouTube video, but you want a tail, that's the option for you. Appreciate everybody for watching. And make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure to bet responsibly, and have a good one.